I was a Wall Street titan in my previous life, a financial mogul who worked himself to death. Then, I woke up as Ethan Reed, a rich family's live-in husband with the same name. My memories were a jumbled mess at first, but I quickly pieced together the important stuff. Ethan Reed, had been married into the Vance family for 3 years. I was a total kept man, a pathetic waste of space. My wife was Chloe Vance, the Ice Queen CEO. We slept in separate rooms and had probably exchanged fewer than 100 words in our entire marriage. The good news? This nightmare was about to end. The bad news? The end was coming faster than I expected. I was still processing my new reality, sprawled on a $1 million luxury, king-sized bed, when the door burst open. Chloe walked in, impeccable in a tailored suit, her hair pulled back in a severe bun. Her expression was like she'd just stepped out of an Arctic expedition. In her hand was a file. She marched straight up to me, her eyes, devoid of warmth, sweeping over me as if I were a piece of inconvenient furniture. Ethan, sign this. Her voice was as cold as her demeanor. I took the file. Four bold letters screamed from the cover. Divorce agreement. My heart skipped a beat, not from sadness, but from pure, unadulterated ecstasy. Holy crap. Divorce. Finally. I've been waiting for this day until the cows came home. I fought to keep my grin from splitting my face, flipping open the agreement. When I saw the number in the compensation clause, I almost choked on my own breath. $50 million. A cool $50 million in cash compensation. $50 million. That's $50 million. In my past life, I worked myself ragged, built an empire from 0 to 100 billion, and never felt this excited about anything. With this kind of cash, I can buy a private island in the Caribbean, soak up the sun, fish all day, and hire 10 bikini-clad supermodels to fan me. Doesn't that sound a lot better than being some damn financial mogul? I felt my soul practically vibrating. To maintain my persona as the pathetic kept man, I looked up, plastering a heartbroken, abandoned-by-the-world expression on my face. My voice even cracked with feigned tears. See, Chloe, do you really have to be so cruel? 3 years of marriage. Chloe's perfect eyebrows twitched almost imperceptibly, a clear sign of her extreme discomfort with my act. Don't call me Chloe. She cut me off, her voice flat. Ethan, you and I both know what kind of relationship we have. Sign the papers, and the $50 million is yours. We'll be even. Sign. Sign it right now. Anyone who doesn't sign is a coward. What are we waiting for? Where's the pen? My trusty pen. Hand it over. On the surface, I pushed the agreement away, slightly, my hands trembling, eyes welling up. Money? You think I'm with you for the money? You underestimate me. I love you. As the words left my mouth, I nearly gagged. But the effect was immediate. I saw an extra layer of disgust flicker in Chloe's eyes. Perfect. Keep piling on the disgust, and she'll kick me out even faster. She pulled an elegant fountain pen from her handbag, uncapped it, and set it on the table with a sharp tap. Sign. One word, no room for argument. My hand trembled as I reached for the pen, already planning my island retirement. First step, buy the island. Second, build a cozy little cabin. Third, get the best fishing rod money can buy. Fourth, all right, I also need a massive freezer for all the fish. Sell the extra. Live the simple life of a fisherman. Just as my fingertips brushed the fountain pen, Chloe's hand moved. She snatched the pen back. Me? Question mark? I stared at her, utterly bewildered, my heart doing a little flip-flop. Hold on, lady, what are you doing? Don't scare me like that. Aren't we getting a divorce? Are you actually backing out now? Is this some kind of game? Are you a sore loser? Chloe's expression was bizarre. It was a mix of shock, confusion, and a hint of utter disbelief. She just stared at me, as if I were an alien. You. Her lips moved, as if she wanted to say something, but no words came out. Her gaze made my skin crawl. Why are you looking at me like that? Do I have something on my face? Or was my acting so convincing that I actually moved the Ice Queen? No way. She's supposed to be an iceberg. Do iceberg is melchi. Please no. I'm not interested in you. I'm only interested in your $50 million. My mind was a torrent of panicked thoughts, but outwardly, I maintained my heartbroken persona, asking cautiously, see, Chloe, what's wrong? Is there a problem with the agreement? It's okay, just tell me. I'll agree to any conditions, if only you'll reconsider. I sounded so sincere I was practically on my knees. Please just sign it. my island, my bikinis, my retirement. It all hangs on your decision. Chloe's gaze grew even stranger. She looked at me as if I were a schizophrenic. She clutched the fountain pen, her knuckles white from the pressure. After a long moment, she seemed to come to a decision, placing the pen back on the table. It's nothing. Her voice sounded a little dry. I just feel that after 3 years of marriage, a hasty divorce wouldn't reflect well on Vance Industries. This matter needs further consideration. Me? Further consideration? What the heck is there to consider? Don't rich families always divorce hastily? Sign a paper, issue a statement, done. Now you're talking about reputation? Where was your concern for reputation 3 years ago when you brought a deadbeat like me in as your live-in husband? I felt my blood pressure rising. My golden goose just slipped through my fingers. But I tried to argue. No buts. Chloe's face returned to its icy demeanor, though the confusion in her eyes hadn't fully dissipated. I'll hold on to this agreement for now. You, stay out of trouble lately. Don't go out partying anymore. With that, she picked up the agreement, turned, and walked away. Her heels clicked sharply and decisively on the floor. I stood there alone, utterly bewildered, feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. What? What just happened? This isn't how the script was supposed to go. It was supposed to be divorce, get the money, and live a life of leisure. What's wrong with this woman? Did she fall in love with me? The thought made me shiver. Impossible, absolutely impossible. Given all the crap my original self pulled, drinking, gambling, hitting the clubs. I only avoided cheating on her, but I hit 4 out of 5 deadly sins. She couldn't possibly love me. She'd have to be crazy, like hit her head on a steel door crazy. I couldn't make heads or tails of it. I collapsed back onto the bed, feeling my island paradise drift further away. It made no sense, absolutely no sense at all. What I didn't know was that Chloe, now by the door, was stiffly leaning against the frame, her face pale. My outrageous internal thoughts still echoed in her ears. She had never imagined that this husband, whom she considered weak, foolish, and only capable of carousing, harbored such a vibrant inner world. He wasn't sad. He was overjoyed. He didn't love her. He loved her 50 million. He had even planned his entire retirement after the divorce, complete with bikini-clad supermodels. Chloe clutched the divorce agreement tightly, her nails digging into the paper. She felt as though her worldview, meticulously built over 20 years, had been shattered by her deadbeat husband's mind voice today. My divorce plan was temporarily shelved. I decided to bide my time and continue playing the role of the slacker live-in husband. Anyway, as long as I didn't cause trouble and just patiently waited, Chloe would eventually get sick of me and throw those $50 million in my face to get rid of me. So for the next few days, I lived the dream retirement life. I woke up naturally every day, ate breakfast prepared by a top chef in a dining room big enough for 20 people, then went for a swim in a heated pool in the backyard. In the afternoon, I watched movies in the private theater or played video games in the game room. This life was simply unpretentious and utterly boring. Awesome. This is the life. My past life, I was always in meetings, poring over reports, playing corporate games at dinner parties, barely getting a full night's sleep, all for that damn money. Now, hand-fed and waited on, and I even get paid. This is a heavenly existence. I'm mused happily in my head while playing the latest video game. Chloe had been out early and back late these past few days, so we barely saw each other, which only added to my comfort. What I didn't know, however, was that every evening when she returned, she would receive a report from the butler detailing my day's activities. This morning, Sir was at the pool. In the afternoon, he was in the game room, and in the evening, he was in the theater. Chloe listened to the butler's report, but in her mind, a different, real-time commentary was playing. This game sucks. The balance is terrible, and the AI is dumber than a sack of bricks. If I designed it, I'd rebalance the stats first, then optimize the underlying logic. This movie's plot is an insult to intelligence, full of holes. The so-called business genius protagonist makes decisions like an idiot. If it were me, his company would go bankrupt in 3 days. Chloe's expression grew increasingly serious. These days, whenever she was near me, or even just thought about me, these mind voices would automatically flood into her brain. The content of these thoughts starkly contrasted with my useless outward appearance. He said the game was fun, But in his mind, he was analyzing its business model and technical flaws. He watched a brainless action movie, but in his mind, he was dissecting a more rigorous commercial strategy. This man, which one was the real him? The deadbeat who only knew how to eat, drink, and be merry, or this sharp-minded, insightful business emperor who seemed to see through everything? Chloe's confusion deepened until one evening, an urgent phone call shattered the calm. At the time, I was lounging on the sofa in my silk pajamas, munching on imported cherries and watching financial news. Chloe sat on a single armchair across from me, working on her laptop. We were 3 yards apart, clearly demarcated. Suddenly, her phone rang. She answered, and her face instantly changed. What? Sterling Solutions released the Nova series early? Our launch is next week. How they get the data? The stock is dropping? What is the PR department doing? Find out. Find out who leaked it immediately. She hung up, radiating a palpable low pressure that seemed to drop the temperature in the living room by several degrees. I glanced at her out of the corner of my eye, popping another cherry into my mouth. Uh-oh, trouble in paradise. I listened with interest. Sterling Solutions? That's Blake Sterling's shell company, right? They call themselves a solutions group. Laughable. The Nova series is Vance Industries' main new energy project this year, isn't it? And someone scooped them? Looks like there's a mole in Vance Industries. Chloe suddenly looked up, her gaze piercing me like a laser. Her stare made me jump, and I almost swallowed a cherry pit. Why are you looking at me? I'm not the mole. I don't even know which way your company's front door opens. I quickly turned my head back, pretending to be engrossed in the TV. On screen, an expert was analyzing the impact of Sterling Solutions' raid on Vance Industries, spouting a lot of jargon and concluding that Vance Industries was doomed. Bullshit expert. Sterling's move, though it looks like they pulled the rug out from under Vance, is actually incredibly stupid. The core technical barrier of the Nova project isn't the product itself, but the subsequent energy support services. Blake only stole the superficial stuff and rushed to market. He's practically begging for ruin. By launching first, he seems to have gained an advantage, but he's actually just pre-warmed the market for Vance Industries and, as a bonus, stepped on all the potential landmines for them. As long as Chloe isn't an idiot, she just needs to do 3 things to make Sterling Solutions look terrible. First, immediately send a cease and desist letter, accuse them of intellectual property theft, blow the situation up, and tie them up in legal battles. Second, hold a tech briefing right away, reveal some of the cut technical details, emphasize the superiority of the legitimate Nova product, and brand Sterling's product as a cheap knockoff. Third, contact Sterling Solutions downstream distributors, offer them huge incentives, and get them to switch sides at the last minute. 3 swift moves, and Blake Sterling won't even have a place to cry. Too bad Chloe, this ice queen, probably can't see through such a simple play. She's probably running around like a chicken with its head cut off right now, trying to catch the mole, right? What good is catching a mole? In business, you hit them where it hurts. TSK, what a spendthrift. A perfectly good company. She'll run it into the ground eventually. Better to just divorce early. Give me the $50 million, and I can make that money grow and compound. I happily calculated in my head, popping another cherry into my mouth. 3 yards away, Chloe was completely frozen. She gripped her phone, her fingertips icy, but in her mind a volcano was erupting. Every word, every single thought of mine was clearly and systematically laid out in her mind. Underestimated, legal counterattack, undermined from the base. No, it was a cease and desist, a tech briefing, and flipping distributors. These 3 steps linked together, each move deadly. She had been frantically trying to catch the mole, her mind a tangled mess of threads, but with my mind voice guiding her, everything suddenly clicked into place, and her path became clear. How could a deadbeat come up with such a strategy? This was textbook corporate warfare. She spun her head around, staring intently at the man sprawled on the sofa, leisurely eating cherries. Was he really Ethan Reed? In that moment, Chloe looked at me as if I were a monster in human skin. Her stare made me uncomfortable. I swallowed my last cherry, sat up from the sofa, and stretched. It's getting late. I'm going upstairs to bed. You, don't work too hard. I yawned, offering a half-hearted word of concern, ready to escape. This woman's aura was too strong. Being in the same room as her was too much pressure, affecting my sleep quality. Gotta go, gotta go. Don't want to miss my dreams about marrying bikini-clad supermodels. It would be great if the company went bankrupt. If she became poor, maybe she'd give up and divorce me. Even if I didn't get the 50 million, regaining my freedom wouldn't be a loss. I took 2 steps, and then Chloe's voice came from behind me. Wait. My steps faltered. Now what? Are you ever done, lady? I turned around, wearing an innocent smile. What's wrong? Chloe stood up, walking towards me step by step. Her heels clicked on the polished marble floor, each sound like a tap on my heart. She stopped about half a yard away, a clean, cool scent of perfume filling my nostrils. She just looked at me, saying nothing. Say something, will you? Cat got your tongue? Staring at me like this is a lot of pressure. I'm warning you. Even though I'm just a live-in husband, I have my dignity. Don't even think about forcing me. I'd rather die than submit. Just as my inner monologue reached the dramatic climax of a chastity battle, Chloe finally spoke. Her voice had a hint of an almost imperceptible huskiness and a touch of hesitation. Ethan, what do you think about this Sterling Solutions situation? My heart sank. Here it comes. She's testing me. She definitely heard something. No, impossible. There's no such thing as mind reading in this world. She must have just seen me watching the financial news and asked casually. Yes, that must be it. Stay calm. My persona is a deadbeat. How could I possibly understand business? If I start spouting off answers, I'll blow my cover. My 50 million, my island? At that thought, I immediately put on a confused and guileless expression, scratching my head. Sterling Solutions? What's Sterling Solutions? Oh, you mean what was on the news just now? I don't understand any of that. All that cutthroat stuff, it's just so scary. I just think, harmony makes money. Why don't everyone just sit down, have some coffee, chat a bit? What problem can't be solved? I said it with such innocence. I was practically ready to sing Kumbaya. Chloe, her expression was hard to read. If she hadn't just heard my clear, decisive, and ruthless analysis, she probably would have called security to throw me out. Harmony makes money. Coffee and chat. My acting is so good, I deserve an Oscar. Look at her face. She's definitely touched by my pure innocence. De advia persona, secure. Chloe, who was touched by my pure innocence, took a deep breath, seemingly trying to suppress something. She didn't press further, changing the subject instead. I remember you studied law in college, didn't you? I nodded. Yeah, why? The original Ethan had, but it was at a pretty mediocre college. He just barely snagged a diploma. Chloe's eyes lit up. Perfect. The company's legal department is short-staffed right now. Tomorrow you can start helping out at the company as my personal assistant. Me, huh? I thought my ears were playing tricks on me. Me, go to the company? Are you kidding me? Ethan Reed, king of the slackers, the ultimate couch potato, you want me to work? That's worse than killing me. No, absolutely not. Who's going to sleep in for me? Who's going to play my games? I was about to refuse, but Chloe seemed to read my thoughts, cutting me off. That's an order, she said coldly. You live here, you use Vance family resources, so you have an obligation to work for the Vance family. Or would you rather leave with nothing right now? Me? Leave with nothing. Holy crap, she's serious. She's threatening me with $50 million. That's ruthless. Okay, you win. A man can bend and stretch. For my island, I'll endure. My face instantly broke into a suck-up grin. Serving the Vance family is my undeniable duty. What time do I start tomorrow? I guarantee I'll be on time. Chloe watched my 180-degree shift in attitude, and the corner of her mouth seemed to twitch, but it quickly returned to its icy state. Tomorrow morning at 8, wait for me downstairs. With that, she didn't look at me again. She turned, laptop in hand, and walked straight into her study. Bang! The study door closed. I stood alone in the spacious living room, close to tears. My slacker life just ended. In the study, Chloe leaned against the door, letting out a long breath. She opened her laptop, ignoring the flickering stock prices and negative news, and created a new document. The title of the document, Ethan Reed User Manual, Tentative. She typed the first line, Identity, Alleged Business Genius, to be verified. Traits, outwardly useless, rich inner monologue, extremely greedy, yearns for leisure. Drive mechanism. Money/survival threats. Current task. Verify feasibility of his 3-step strategy. First step, send cease and desist. The next morning at 8, I sat in the passenger seat of Chloe's Maybach, feeling utterly lifeless. This was my first time in 3 years going to work with her. My sleep-ins, my games, my youth, all buried by the evils of capitalism. Chloe Vance, that woman, she's a demon. The corporate shark of all corporate sharks. I leaned back in the seat, feeling completely drained. Next to me, Chloe stared straight ahead at the road, but her mind was bustling like a farmer's market. First step, send a cease and desist. Legal department is on it. Next is the second step, the tech briefing. She thought, glancing at me from the corner of her eye. This man, eyes closed, looked utterly defeated, like a useless bum who hadn't fully woken up. But who could have guessed what he was thinking? A tech briefing, that's an art in itself. Can't give away all the core tech, otherwise, there's nothing left to play with later. Best to pick a few features that Sterling Solutions' knockoff version doesn't have, but that sound incredibly impressive to highlight, like dynamic energy matching and reverse charging technology. That idiot Blake, Sterling definitely hasn't figured those out. Then, get a few respected experts to endorse us, and have a few media outlets set the narrative, completely branding Sterling's Nova as a cheap, stripped-down version. Chloe's eyes gleamed. Dynamic energy matching, reverse charging technology, those were indeed hidden features of the Nova project, originally planned for the second-generation product because the technology wasn't fully mature yet. How'd he know? Even a few core members of the company's project team were the only ones aware of these details. Chloe felt her heart pounding a little faster. She subtly picked up her phone and sent a message to her head of technology. Please prepare a detailed white paper on the Nova project's dynamic energy matching and reverse charging technology immediately. The car pulled up to Vance Industries. It was a towering skyscraper, soaring into the clouds, incredibly impressive. I followed Chloe into the opulent lobby. Along the way, all the employees respectfully bowed and greeted her. Good morning, Ms. Vance. Then they'd steal glances at me, their eyes a mix of disdain, pity, and gossip. What are you looking at? Never seen a kept man before? Let me tell you, being a kept man is a skill. You wish you had this kind of access. Envious, aren't you? Jealous? I puffed out my chest, striding forward with a swagger, as if I owned the place. Chloe's steps faltered slightly, her temple throbbing. She wanted to crawl into a hole and disappear. The CEO's office was on the top floor. Chloe dropped me on the sofa in the reception area and handed me a tablet. The legal department drafted the cease and desist letter. Check if there are any issues. Oh, so she actually wants me to work. Fine, for the sake of $50 million. I lazily picked up the tablet and opened the document. One glance and my brows furrowed. What the heck is this? It's vague and completely toothless. Is the legal team just sitting around doing nothing? When suing for intellectual property theft, the key is the definition of proprietary and the chain of evidence for infringement. This letter describes the proprietary nature of the core technology vaguely and merely speculates on how Sterling Solutions obtained it. What's the point of sending this? It's like a gentle tap on the wrist. It needs to be written like this. First, clearly state all the non-disclosure agreements and measures for the Nova project since its inception, proving its high level of confidentiality. Second, list the highly overlapping points between Sterling's product and our unpublished technical data, creating a closed loop of technical evidence. Third, directly name the suspected internal leaker we've already identified and state that a police report has been filed, putting criminal pressure on Sterling Solutions. This isn't a cease and desist letter. It's an ultimatum. My mind rattled off a stream of criticisms, but my fingers simply swiped around on the tablet, finally tapping on a harmless typo in the corner. Here, I looked up, wearing a look of self-congratulation. This word, there, should be there. Chloe. She stood behind her desk, looking at me with an extremely complex expression. She was silent for a few seconds, then picked up the internal phone. Send legal manager Vance up. Soon, a middle-aged man with gold-rimmed glasses knocked and entered. Ms. Vance, you called for me. Chloe handed him the tablet, her face expressionless. Redraft the cease and desist letter. First, emphasize the project's confidentiality level and measures. Second, attach the comparative report of overlapping points provided by the technical department. Third, include a clause stating that we have filed a report with the Economic Crimes Division and will pursue criminal charges against them. Manager Vance froze, adjusting his glasses. Ms. Vance, isn't that a bit too aggressive? It means directly burning bridges with Sterling Solutions. Chloe's voice dropped 3 degrees. Do as I say. Yes, yes. Manager Vance dared not say more, nodding repeatedly. He took the tablet and backed out. As he left, he gave me a strange look. I was sprawled on the sofa, examining which of the apples in the fruit bowl was reddest. After Manager Vance left, the office was silent. Chloe dealt with her documents, and I continued my slacker enterprise. Ugh, so tiring. Why is being a deadbeat so hard? I'm forced to contribute. This woman, her execution is pretty good, but her brain isn't quite up to par. Without me, this company would be doomed sooner or later. Puffed. A very faint laugh. I snapped my head up, looking at Chloe. She was looking down at her documents, but a fleeting smile played on her lips. I must have imagined it. How could the Ice Queen smile? Over the next few days, I was forced to become the mascot of Vance Industries. My main job was to sit on the sofa in the CEO's office, eat fruit, drink tea, play video games, and occasionally offer my brilliant insights into Chloe's work. All in my head, of course. And Chloe, in turn, treated me like a walking business intelligence database. Outwardly, she ignored me. But in reality, every business decision I grumbled about internally, she silently and subtly put into action. Under my cloud guidance, Vance Industries launched a brilliant series of counterattacks. The cease and desist letter caused a public outcry. The tech briefing branded Sterling Solutions' Nova series as a knockoff, and their reputation plummeted. Adding to that, Chloe personally went out and swayed several of Sterling Solutions' largest distributors, cutting off Blake Sterling's funding. In just one short week, Sterling Solutions went from an aggressive attacker to a teetering underdog, their stock price hitting rock bottom, on the verge of bankruptcy. The entire business world was shocked by Chloe's decisive tactics, calling her the Iron Woman of the corporate world. Only Chloe herself knew that the true Iron Woman was the deadbeat husband currently lounging on the sofa, legs crossed, rating her newly bought game console. This game console is all right, 7 out of 10. Good feel, but the battery life is terrible. Ugh, when will I get my 50 million and buy my island? Being a strategist here, not even getting a penny in salary. Chloe Vance, that ruthless capitalist, she's a master at exploiting surplus value. Chloe, who was looking at financial reports, felt her eyelid twitch. She looked up at me. Next month, your salary will be transferred to your account. Annual salary, tentatively, $1 million. My finger, poised to criticize the game, froze. I snapped my head up. How much? $1 million? Holy crap, I actually get paid? It's chump change compared to 50 million, but every penny counts. This job, maybe it's not so bad after all. I immediately sat up straight, a fawning smile on my face. Thank you, wife. You're the best. I'll dedicate my life to you, work myself to the bone. Shut up. Chloe turned her head away in disgust, but her ears were slightly flushed. Wife. He'd never called her that in private before. Just as the company crisis was averted and I thought I could continue coasting and collecting my salary, the Vance family dinner arrived as scheduled. This was my least favorite occasion, because every family dinner, I was the target of focused attacks. The Vance family was a large one, with many extended relatives, each eyeing Chloe's CEO position, eager to pull her down. And I, the useless live-in husband, was their perfect opening to attack Chloe. Sure enough, as soon as we sat down at the dinner table, Chloe's aunt, Aunt Carol, began with a passive-aggressive jab. Oh, Chloe, I've heard all about the company's recent troubles. So impressive for someone so young. Unlike some people we know, who just know how to play cards all day. She praised Chloe, but her eyes flickered towards me. Chloe's cousin, Derek Vance, who served as a VP at the company, immediately chimed in. Aunt Carol, you're joking. Chloe is capable, but a company crisis of this magnitude can't be handled by one person alone. I heard that the turnaround was mainly due to the veterans in the legal and tech departments. His words, while outwardly praising the old departments, were subtly belittling Chloe, implying she was just a figurehead, without any real skill. I lower my head, eating my prime rib, pretending not to hear. Here it comes, the classic rich family drama. Derek, that idiot, still trying to seize power. He needs to realize his own limitations. Aunt Carol then aimed her attack at me. But speaking of which, Chloe, you're so swamped with company affairs. Why did you bring Ethan to the office too? What could he possibly help you with? Getting you coffee? Just make sure he doesn't make things worse. A ripple of suppressed laughter went around the table. My hand, holding the chopsticks, tightened. Old hag, your tongue is venomous. Your son is drowning in gambling debt, and you have the nerve to talk about others? Didn't you secretly pawn the family heirloom bracelet Chloe gave you to pay off his debts last time? Don't think I don't know. Chloe, who had been silent, suddenly put down her chopsticks. She picked up her wine glass and looked at Aunt Carol, her face devoid of emotion. Aunt Carol, why aren't you wearing that jade bracelet lately? I thought you liked it a lot. Aunt Carol's face instantly went white. She almost dropped her chopsticks. That. I accidentally chipped it. Sent it from maintenance. Oh, impressive. This ice queen is learning to take the initiative. Not bad, a bit like me. I secretly gave a thumbs up in my mind. Derek, seeing his mother flounder, immediately intensified his attack. Chloe, what's that supposed to mean? Aunt Carol is just concerned about you. But you, bringing just anyone into the company, what kind of behavior is that? Ethan, he's a kept man. What does he know about business? Letting him into the company is just making a mockery of the Vance name. Those words were extremely harsh. The atmosphere at the dinner table froze. Everyone looked at Chloe, waiting to see how she would handle it. My temper flared. Derek Vance, you're really pushing it, aren't you? I might not understand business, but I understand you. You think no one knows about all the dirty things you've been doing in private? You use your position to embezzle $30 million from the company to buy a villa for your mistress. You covered your tracks perfectly, but you overlooked one crucial mistake. You left the encrypted USB drive, which records all the money transfers, in a third compartment of your office safe. The password, by the way, is your mistress's birthday, 0815. I was thoroughly enjoying my mental tirade when I suddenly felt a light kick under the table. I looked up, meeting Chloe's gaze. Her eyes held a hint of inquiry and encouragement. She want me to handle this myself? Chloe's look was clear. Your mess, you fix it. I paused. Me? Handle it? My persona is a deadbeat lady. If I suddenly hulk out and expose Derek Vance's dirty laundry, it'll ruin my cover. My 50 million. But looking at Derek's arrogant face, and then at Chloe's clear eyes, which held a touch of trust, the suppressed anger in my heart suddenly burst forth. I've been a big shot for too long in my previous life. Why had I ever put up with this kind of disrespect? Screw it. 50 million. Can wait. Tonight, I'm cutting loose. I put down my chopsticks, wiped my mouth with a napkin, and slowly looked up at Derek, a guileless smile on my face. Cousin, don't say that. I know I'm a deadbeat. I don't understand business. And I've embarrassed Chloe. Derek snorted triumphantly. Glad you know it. I continued smiling. But, these past few days at the company, even though I haven't done anything important, I did hear some whispers. For example, I heard that the company seems to have a discrepancy of $30 million, and the finance department is going crazy trying to find it. My voice wasn't loud, but in the quiet dining room, it clearly reached everyone's ears. Derek's face instantly changed. His hand, gripping the wine glass, tightened sharply. What nonsense are you talking about? The company's accounts are fine. There's no 30 million discrepancy, he snapped, sounding a bit forced. I scratched my head, looking innocent. Really? Maybe I misheard. I just have a bad memory, and I'm especially prone to wild associations. I was just thinking, $30 million, that's not a small amount, is it? You could buy a huge luxury condo in the city center. Like, in a place like the Platinum Residences, a high-floor unit, the view must be amazing. The Platinum Residences was the name of the exclusive high-rise where Derek Vance had bought a villa for his mistress. Sweat was already beading on Derek's forehead. He stared at me, his eyes filled with shock and malice. He couldn't understand how this deadbeat knew all this. I acted as if I hadn't noticed his stare, continuing casually, and I'm particularly sensitive to numbers. For example, my girlfriend's birthday is August 15th, so I set all my passwords to 0815. Easy to remember, right? Cousin, isn't that how it works? Crash! Derek's wine glass slipped from his hand, shattering on the floor. Red wine splattered all over his pants. But he seemed oblivious, staring at me with a pale face, his lips trembling, unable to utter a single word. The entire dinner table was dead silent. No one was stupid. Hearing all that, how could they not understand? Aunt Carol's face was even paler with fright. She pointed at me, unable to speak for a long time. You. I calmly picked up my chopsticks again, grabbed a piece of prime rib, put it in my mouth, and slowly chewed, as if the words I'd just spoken hadn't come from me. Sweet. Occasionally showing off feels pretty good, though I wonder if it'll affect my deadbeat persona. Oh well, screw it. I can always act more useless later to get my image back. At this moment, Chloe, who had been silent, finally spoke. She didn't even glance at Derek. Instead, she turned to me, her voice tinged with a warmth I'd never heard before. Your hands are dirty. Let me clean them for you. Then, to the shock of everyone, she picked up a wet wipe and gently, carefully wiped my hand, the one that had just held the napkin. Her movements were soft, her fingertips cool, and their touch on my skin sent a strange shiver through me. After wiping my hand, she looked up at the dumbfounded Vance family members, her voice quiet but firm. He's mine to indulge. Anyone with a problem can leave this house right now. The room fell silent. I looked at her cool profile, at the way she stood protectively in front of me, and something in my heart was gently stirred. This woman, she's not so bad after all. A faint smile played on Chloe's lips, hidden from my view. The family dinner ended abruptly. On the way home, the atmosphere in the car was subtly different. I sat in the passenger seat, secretly glancing at Chloe. She focused on driving, the lines of her profile softened by the streetlights. Did I get a little too carried away tonight? No, I have to double down on my slacker act starting tomorrow. Suppress this expert image. My ultimate goal is an island. I can't forget my original intention because of a moment of impulse. But then again, the way she protected me earlier, it was pretty damn cool. Chloe's hands, gripping the steering wheel, tightened almost imperceptibly. Back home, I expected us to go our separate ways, maintaining our usual distance. But as soon as Chloe parked the car, she received a call. It was from Blake Sterling, her good-for-nothing rival from Sterling Solutions. Chloe Vance, don't get too cocky. Blake's furious voice roared from the other end of the line. Do you dare to make one last bet with me? Tomorrow night, at the Sovereign Club, I'm hosting a meeting. I've invited Mr. Henderson, Mr. Evans, and others. We'll settle the Nova project matter in front of everyone. If you win, I'll give you 10% of Sterling Solutions shares for free. If you lose, you hand over the core technology of Nova. I was close enough to hear everything clearly. This is a trap. That jerk Blake Sterling is desperate. He's definitely set up a trap at that party, just waiting for Chloe to walk into it. It's either going to be drug drinks or a honey trap. That's how it always goes in those rich family dramas. Chloe's brows furrowed. Blake Sterling, while not a brilliant businessman, was known for his dirty tricks and endless schemes. I'm not interested. Chloe's voice was cold as she refused. You don't dare? Blake laughed maniacally on the phone. I knew you wouldn't. Chloe Vance, you're just a woman who hides behind others. If you're capable, show up. If not, just hand over your company already. It was a blatant provocation. Crude, but sometimes effective. Sure enough, Chloe's face darkened. She hated being called a woman or having her abilities questioned. Phoenix. She said only one word before hanging up. One look at her expression, and I knew we were in trouble. Oh no, the Ice Queen's temper has flared, and her IQ is plummeting. She's definitely going to go. No, I have to talk her out of it. I cleared my throat, ready to speak. But Chloe beat me to it, turning to me and issuing an order. Tomorrow night, you're coming with me. Me? Me? What for? To be a human shield? No way. I can't handle drinking myself into oblivion at those kinds of parties. I need my liver for fishing. No. Over my dead body, I shook my head like a bobblehead. I'm not going. I'm allergic to alcohol. One drink, and I'm out. You have to go. Chloe's tone was unwavering. Why? I protested. Because she looked at me, her eyes holding a depth I couldn't decipher. With you there, I feel at ease. Me? Lady, you feel at ease, But I'm miserable. I'm a total lightweight. What can I do there? Intimidate them with my sheer awesomeness? Despite my frantic internal refusal, seeing Chloe's face, which clearly said, "You're dead if you don't go," I eventually caved. Fine. Beggars can't be choosers. I'll just consider an outing, see how these rich folks manage to screw themselves over in new and exciting ways. But first, I need to prepare. I went back to my room and immediately started searching online. How to survive a drinking party and also screw over your opponents? The results were a mixed bag. Pretend to be drunk, babble nonsense, and reveal their dirty secrets. Bring a voice recorder and capture key evidence. Slip a laxative into their drinks. These tricks are too amateurish. To deal with someone like Blake Sterling, I need an above-board strategy. Make him lose face and everything else, and accept his defeat gracefully. I lay on my bed, my mind racing, plan after plan forming in my head. Next door in her study, Chloe was looking at a newly printed file, my personnel record. In the special skills section, she had used a red pen to add a few words after Nuncola Master of Psychological Warfare, top-tier actuary, human lie detector. The next evening, at the Sovereign Club, Chloe had forced me into an expensive suit. I followed her into an incredibly luxurious private room, which was already full of people and hazy with smoke. Blake Sterling was at the head of the table, surrounded by several slick-haired, middle-aged men who looked like two peas in a pod. Seeing us enter, Blake Sterling stood up, a fake smile plastered on his face. "Well, Ms. Vance, you actually dared to come, and you brought your pretty boy husband? What, afraid to handle it alone?" The man behind him burst into laughter. Chloe's face was cold enough to freeze water. I, meanwhile, hid behind Chloe, looking terrified, and whispered, "Wife, they're so mean. Let's just go home. I'll keep acting. Appear weak to make them drop their guard." "Blake Sterling, you idiot, you'll soon learn what a beatdown feels like." Blake Sterling, seeing my cowardly act, laughed even more triumphantly. "Ms. Vance, have a seat." He gestured to the empty chairs opposite him. The table was already laden with expensive liquor, clearly setting the stage for a drink-till-you-drop session. Chloe was about to sit down when I tugged on her sleeve. "Wife, can I sit next to you? I am scared." I gave her a pitiful puppy dog look. Chloe's body stiffened for a moment. Sitting next to her makes it easier for me to live stream my thoughts. These guys, every single one of them, is bad news. That bald Mr. Henderson on the left wants a kickback from Vance Industries' new project. Blake promised him 5 points. Mr. Evans, the one with the gold watch on the right, is having an affair with Blake Sterling's wife, and Blake has leverage over him, so he's here to be a pawn. As for Blake Sterling himself, Sterling Solutions funding is already cut, and his bank loan is due tomorrow. Tonight is his last chance to turn things around. Chloe's eyes flickered, and she silently shifted one seat over. I sat down, satisfied, pressing close to her. The drinking began. Blake Sterling raised his glass and declared loudly, "Tonight, no business, just drinking. Whoever falls first is a coward." With that, he drained his glass. The others followed suit, egging each other on, and began taking turns to toast Chloe. Chloe had a good tolerance for alcohol, but she couldn't withstand a tag team assault. After a few rounds, though still conscious, her face was flushed. No good. Can't let her drink anymore. These bastards mix something into the drinks. It's not a strong drug, but it has a delayed, powerful effect. Drink too much, and you'll black out. My heart tightened. It was a bald man named Mr. Henderson's turn. He walked up to Chloe, a lecherous smirk on his face. "Ms. Vance, I'll toast you. If you drink this, our company will sign the cooperation agreement with Vance Industries immediately." "Sign your head. You just want to get her drunk and take advantage of her. I can see through your disgusting intentions clearly. If your wife knew you were supporting 3 college girls on the side, I wonder if she'd break your legs." Chloe was about to pick up her glass when I suddenly cried out, clutching my stomach. "Wife, my stomach hurts. I need to use the restroom." I said, my face crumpled. Everyone's attention turned to me. "Mr. Henderson said impatiently, "Such a big man. Why so many problems? Hurry up and come back." I looked at Chloe pitifully. "Wife, will you come with me? I'm scared to go alone." The room erupted in laughter. Blake Sterling laughed so hard tears streamed from his eyes. "Ms. Vance, Your husband is truly a gem. Ha ha ha. Chloe's face was as dark as a thundercloud. Say yes. Take me outside so I can tell you their trump card. You idiot woman. Chloe took a deep breath, stood up, and said coldly to Mr. Henderson, excuse me for a moment. Then, she took my hand and, under the mocking gazes of the crowd, walked out of the private room. As soon as we were out the door, I immediately pulled my hand away, my expression returning to normal. Are you crazy? The drinks were drugged, and you were still drinking, I said in a low voice. Chloe looked at me, her eyes complex. I know. You knew and you still drank? If I didn't drink, how could I make them drop their guard? She retorted. I paused. Well, the Ice Queen is growing. She actually learned to use their own tricks against them. Chloe ignored my internal thoughts and asked directly, Tell me, what's their trump card? I quickly relayed everything I had analyzed in my mind earlier. Mr. Henderson wants a kickback, Mr. Evans has dirt on him held by Blake Sterling, and Blake Sterling himself has a bank loan due tomorrow. Chloe's eyes grew brighter and brighter. She looked at me as if I were a treasure trove. What should I do? For the first time, she asked me in a tone bordering on seeking guidance. I smiled. She's hooked. It's simple, I said. When you go back in, first do this, then that, and finally. I leaned close to her ear and quietly whispered my plan. Chloe listened, then remained silent for a long time. Then, she looked at me and asked, word for word, Exactly are you? I spread my hands, reverting to my usual cheerful demeanor. I'm your husband, a proud, kept man. With that, I pushed open the private room door and walked back in. We returned to the private room. Blake Sterling and the others started jeering again when they saw us. Chloe ignored him, walked straight back to her seat, and picked up the glass Mr. Henderson had offered earlier. Mr. Henderson, she looked at the bald man, a sudden, alluring smile on her face. I'll drink this, but I have one condition. Mr. Henderson's eyes widened. Ms. Vance, please tell me. Chloe swirled the wine glass in her hand, her voice low, but it silenced the entire room. I'll drink this if you show me that secret side contract you signed with Blake. How about it? Mr. Henderson's smile froze on his face. Blake Sterling's face also changed instantly. Here it comes, showtime. First step, shake the mountain to scare the tiger, divide the enemy internally. Mr. Henderson gave a dry laugh. Ms. Vance, you're joking. What side contract? I don't understand. Chloe smiled, not looking at him again, and turned to Mr. Evans, the one with the gold watch. Mr. Evans, I heard your wife is vacationing in Europe recently. Blake is truly thoughtful towards your wife, arranging a private jet and a 5-star hotel especially for her. The kind of friendship is truly admirable. Mr. Evans's face instantly went white. His affair with Blake Sterling's wife. How did Chloe know? And know so much detail. Blake Sterling's face could no longer be described as unpleasant. It was practically green. He glared at Chloe, as if wanting to kill her with his eyes. Chloe seemed oblivious, draining the glass in one gulp. Then, she inverted the empty glass on the table with a soft thud. Blake, she finally turned her gaze to the evening's protagonist. Now, can we have a proper talk? Blake Sterling gritted his teeth. What do you want to talk about? Let's talk about Sterling Solutions' stock price, your bank loan that's due tomorrow, and also the matter of you fabricating Nova project data, which constitutes commercial fraud. With each sentence Chloe uttered, Blake Sterling's face grew paler. By the end, he was slumped in his chair, as if all his strength had been drained. He couldn't understand how his perfectly flawless plan could have been completely exposed to Chloe overnight. He had lost completely. The party ended abruptly. On the way back, Chloe uncharacteristically didn't drive herself. She called a chauffeur. She sat in the back seat, eyes closed, seemingly tired, or perhaps a little too tipsy. The car was filled with a faint scent of alcohol, mixed with the cool fragrance of her perfume. I sat beside her, watching the rapidly receding night scenery outside the window, feeling quite content. Done. Blake Sterling is ruined this time. Vance Industries' crisis is completely resolved. My mission is accomplished. Tomorrow, I'll propose divorce. She has no reason to refuse this time, right? My island. Here I come. As I happily calculated, A weight suddenly settled on my shoulder. Chloe's head rested on my shoulder. Her hair was soft, carrying a faint scent of shampoo, tickling my neck a little. My body stiffened. I instinctively wanted to pull away. What? Keep your hands to yourself. We might be legally married, but we're not close. Just as I was about to move, I heard her whisper in a voice almost like a dream. Don't move. Just let me lean on you for a bit. Her voice lacked its usual coldness and assertiveness. Instead, it held a trace of fatigue and vulnerability. My heart softened, and against my better judgment, I didn't move. The car was quiet, only the sound of steady breathing. After a long time, I thought she had fallen asleep and secretly lowered my head to peek. But I found her looking at me with clear, bright eyes. Those eyes glowed startlingly in the dark. "Ethan," she said softly, "thank you." This was the first time she had genuinely thanked me. I felt a little uncomfortable, turned my head away, and mumbled, "What for? I didn't do anything. Please stop thanking me. I'm afraid I'll go soft and end up not even wanting the 50 million. Such a sin, such a sin." In the darkness, I didn't see the gentle smile that curved Chloe's lips. She leaned closer to me, her warm breath caressing my ear, making me tingle. She said, "I knew everything." The next day, I walked into Chloe's office with a funeral in my heart. After last night's battle, our relationship had subtly changed. Although I was still focused on my $50 million and my island, I had to admit, this ice queen didn't seem so annoying anymore. No, Ethan, you need to wake up. Don't be seduced by beauty. Your original intention is to live a life of leisure, to be a slacker, to be free from worldly strife. I mentally braced myself and walked up to her desk. Chloe was looking at a document. Seeing me, she looked up. "Something wrong? Something is wrong." I took a deep breath, pulled something from my pocket, and placed it on her desk. It was the divorce agreement I had already prepared and printed. I drafted it myself. In the compensation clause, I gritted my teeth and, with tears in my eyes, changed 50 million to 30 million. For her recent good performance, I'll give her a discount. 30 million is enough for me to be a rich man on a smaller island. Chloe's gaze fell on the divorce agreement, and her eyes instantly turned cold. The temperature in the office seemed to plummet back to the ice age. "What do you mean?" Her voice betrayed no emotion. "It means what you see." I stuck out my neck and said, "Vance Industries' crisis is resolved, and Blake Sterling won't be causing any more trouble. It's time for us to go our separate ways. Don't worry, I won't ask for 50 million. 30 million's fine. After this, we'll each go our own way and not bother each other." After I finished speaking, I felt a little uneasy. For some reason, seeing her eyes dim instantly, I actually felt a pang of reluctance. "Don't look at me like that. You're making me feel like a scumbag abandoning his wife and child. We never had feelings for each other. Divorce is a release for both of us." Chloe was silent. She just stared at me quietly for a very long time. So long that I thought she was about to call security to throw me out, but then she suddenly smiled. It was a smile I had never seen before, tinged with a hint of self-mockery and loneliness. "Release." She softly repeated the word. "Ethan, do you think I always wanted you to leave?" I didn't speak, but my expression confirmed it. Yes, at first, I certainly did think that. She picked up the agreement, her fingertips lightly tracing it. "I thought you were useless, a burden, a stain on my life." "See, I told you so," I muttered internally. But her tone shifted, and she looked up, her gaze fixed on me. "I don't think that anymore." She stood up, walked around her desk, and slowly approached me. The distance between us was mere inches. I could clearly smell the familiar cool scent on her, and I could see a hint of moisture on her long eyelashes. "Ethan," her voice was very soft, yet carried an unprecedented strength. "What if I said I don't want a divorce anymore?" I was stunned. Don't want a divorce? Why? Lady, are you confused about something? I'm still that deadbeat. I just have moments of brilliance, that's all." Just then, the office door was suddenly pushed open. Derek Vance burst in, flanked by several board members, their faces filled with furious vindictiveness. "Chloe Vance, you owe us an explanation." Derek's face was twisted with a manic sense of revenge. He waved a file in his hand. "I've found out. The company leak was a self-staged drama by you. all to suppress dissent and consolidate your own position. The board members behind him echoed his sentiments. That's right. We've all checked. That so-called tech briefing the technology announced was just a feint. In bribing the distributors, the terms you offered them are impossible to achieve. This is clearly you colluding with them. Chloe Vance, you're ruthless for power. You don't deserve to be CEO of Vance Industries. I watched this dramatic scene unfold, my mind struggling to catch up. Holy crap, Derek is spitting blood here. It's true I taught her these tricks, but how did it turn into a self-staged drama? No, wait. A light bulb went off in my head. Unless the person who leaked the information was Chloe herself. All along, I spun my head to look at Chloe. She stood there, her expression calm, without a hint of panic, as if she had expected this all along. Catching my gaze, she subtly nodded. I sucked in a cold breath. Holy crap, what a grand scheme. This woman, she was using me from the very beginning. She deliberately leaked some minor, innocuous information to Blake Sterling, luring him into a trap, then used my mind voice to set up this elaborate snare. Not only did she crush her biggest competitor in one fell swoop, but she also flushed out all the internal unstable elements in the company. I was just the sharpest blade in her hand. Now that she's used me, is she going to discard me? My heart instantly sank. Derek, seeing Chloe remain silent, assumed she was guilty and became even more triumphant. What, nothing to say? Chloe Vance, I advise you to resign voluntarily. Don't force us to call a board meeting and remove you. In this tense moment, Ethan Reed, the slacker who only wanted to live a life of leisure, did something even I didn't expect. I stepped forward, blocking Chloe. I looked at Derek and smiled. Cousin, are you done talking? I said slowly. You're done. Now it's my turn. I pulled out a small USB drive from my pocket and weighed it in my hand. Inside this are all the proofs of you embezzling $30 million from the company, including transfer records, bank statements, and intimate photos of you and your mistress. Tell me, if I hand this over to the board or to the media, what would happen? Derek's face instantly drained of all color. You're talking nonsense. I already destroyed the evidence. Oh, really? I shook the USB drive. The one you destroyed was in your safe. Too bad. I have a good habit of making backups. Derek and the other board members were stunned into silence. I ignored them, turning to look at Chloe, who also had a shocked expression. I picked up the divorce agreement from the desk and, in front of everyone, tore it into pieces. The confetti-like paper scraps fluttered down. I looked into her eyes and said, word for word, I'm not getting this divorce. You want to use me? Fina, you want to treat me like a blade? Also fine. But from today on, the hilt of this blade will be in my own hand. Vance Industries, I want 50% of the shares. And you, Chloe Vance, from now on, you'll listen to me. After I finished my bold declaration, the entire office was deathly silent. Derek Vance and the other board members stood there, mouths agape, as if they had seen a ghost. And Chloe, she looked at me, her eyes filled with unprecedented shock and a brilliant spark. Holy crap, what did I just say? Am I insane? Ask for shares? And make her listen to me? Wasn't I supposed to be a slacker? My persona is ruined. My island, my bikinis, all gone. My mind wailed, but the words were out like water splashed. It would be too embarrassing to back down now. I could only steel myself, maintaining that I'm the king of the world, domineering expression on my face. In the standoff, Chloe suddenly smiled. She smiled beautifully, like melting glaciers and spring flowers blooming. She walked up to me, reached out, and straightened my slightly crooked tie. Good. She said only one word. That one word, good, made Derek Vance and the others completely collapse to the floor. They knew that the Vance family, and indeed the entire business world, was about to change. After that day, my life underwent a dramatic transformation. I still lived at the Vance estate, still the live-in husband. But I had an additional title, Vance Industries behind-the-scenes strategist, chief strategic advisor. I didn't have to clock in at the office. Most of my time was still spent lounging at home, playing games, watching movies. Except there was one more person by my side. Chloe. She would bring company documents home, sit on the rug beside me, processing them while listening to my mind voice. This merger deal, too high risk, too low return. Reject it. Reject it already. Don't make me miss my boss fight. Chloe, without looking up, crossed out something on the document. That new project, we can invest in it, but add a performance-based agreement. This project is a guaranteed win. Invest quickly, make money so I can get my cut. My island fund is still short a bit. Okay. Chloe picked up her pen and began drafting the agreement. Days passed like this, peaceful, yet with a strange harmony. An unspoken understanding had formed between us, one no one else could comprehend. Until that night, I had just finished a game, stretched, and was about to go to bed. Chloe suddenly called out to me, "Ethan, what?" I turned back. She stood up from the sofa and walked up to me, a hint of unnatural blush on her face. That, the divorce agreement, I've redrafted it. My heart skipped a beat. Again? Didn't we say we weren't getting divorced? What's wrong with this woman? Going back on her word? She took a file from behind her back and handed it to me. I took it suspiciously, opened it, and froze. It was still a divorce agreement, but the terms had changed. Party A, Chloe Vance, voluntarily transfers 50% of Vance Industries shares under her name to Party B, Ethan Reed, without compensation. All real estate, cash, funds, trusts, etc., under Party A's name, shall be divided equally with Party B. After divorce, Party B shall have the right to summon Party A at any time. The more I read, the more shocked I became, the more absurd it seemed. When I saw the last clause, I was completely dumbfounded. This agreement shall never take effect. I looked up, staring at her with wide eyes. What do you mean by this? Chloe's face grew redder. She didn't dare to look at me, her head down, her voice barely a whisper. It means everything I have is yours, including me. My mind went buzz, and then exploded. Holy crap. Holy crap. Is she confessing to me? The Ice Queen is confessing? Has the sun risen in the west? I was in a state of immense shock, unable to extricate myself. Chloe, thinking I hadn't understood, plucked up her courage, looked up, and met my gaze directly. She suddenly stood on her tiptoes, leaned close to my ear, and in a voice I had never heard before, tinged with a tremble and shyness, softly whispered, "You idiot. I could hear your thoughts from the very beginning." With that, a soft, cool, and sweet kiss landed on my lips. My mind went utterly blank. Only one last thought remained. Holy crap. She could hear me? So all those things I was thinking, about bikini-clad supermodels. End.